And welcome to The Bottom Line, where we break down the most pressing business and economic issues of the day. Now, today we delve into the economic challenges facing Ukraine as it navigates the complexities of managing its economy amidst ongoing conflict. With GDP projections presenting a cautious outlook, significant public debt and the need for continued financial aid, Ukraine's economic future hangs in the balance. And now joining me to discuss these crucial topics is Jakub Karnowski from Warsaw School of Economics. Hello, sir, and welcome to TVP World.
Good afternoon, Alexandra.
So now let's start with numbers. Recently, Ukraine secured a deal to reduce its debt by 37% and restructure payments. So how significant now is this debt relief for Ukraine's budgetary situation, and what immediate impacts do you foresee on the economy?
Well, that's very important. This reduction of the effective reduction of the private debt to Ukraine was a precondition for the IMF, for the future bailout IMF can provide to Ukrainian government. And the face value of the debt was $20 billion. And the kind of relief for Ukraine is about 11 billion during the next 3 years. So this is a substantial relief. And again, the precondition for the further assistance given through the channels of the International and Monetary Fund.
Right, and now having that in mind, we do know that Ukraine has been running on big deficits. I mean, the projection only for this year is around 20% of GDP without external aid, and in 2025 it will be 10%. And now the total debt is amounted to $150 billion by the end of April this year. So how do you really see this situation panning out?
Yeah, correct. But the sad reality is that today is July 24th, so we are exactly at 29 months since the full-scale invasion by Russia on Ukraine. So it means that Ukraine holds on, and it was a surprise 29 months ago that actually the country managed to hold on. So the country, the economy, the government is doing much better than we could have predicted, just 29 to 30 months ago. So basically, when you look at the Ukrainian economy now, it's a quarter smaller than it used to be in 2021, which was the year prior to the invasion, full-scale invasion. But again, please don't forget that Russia attacked Ukraine in 2014. And since 2014 is occupying Crimea and eastern part of Luga and Donetsk. The Ukraine economy is just around 75% of it used to be in 2021. Around 14-15% of the country's territory is occupied by Russian aggressor. The GDP is slightly below 100%. Sorry, the public debt is around 100% of GDP. But basically, in such conditions, the government relies on the support of the Western economies in military equipment, weapons, ammunition, but obviously also the public finance just to support the usual day-to-day activity of the country.
Right. So having all of that in mind, you mentioned that now Ukrainian economy doesn't look so bad considering the circumstances. So how do you think now the Ukrainian economy has changed since the start of the full-scale invasion? How is Ukraine managing really the economic functions amidst the ongoing conflict, like you mentioned? I'm wondering especially now, what do you think of now the phenomenon of, for instance, the Great Migration, as we see that now businesses are leaving the eastern part of the country and moving now to Lviv, moving west. So we do see that 1,000 companies are moving west right now. So how do you see the situation?
They left already, and I was in Lviv last Friday. Last week I spent in Kiev and Lviv, and I think it's worth to mention that I've been serving as independent board on two strategic infrastructure companies in Ukraine, which is Ukrainian Railways, Ukrzheleznica, and Ukrzposhta, Ukrainian Post. I spent more than half a year since February 24, 2022 in Ukraine, mostly in Kiev. So basically, that's true. People from our businesses from eastern Ukraine moved to Kiev or to western part of Ukraine. And Lviv is a very full of entrepreneurs city. So basically, economy changed, shrinked a bit in terms of total terms, in terms of GDP, but also changed. For example, of course, the major focus is on this kind of business which helped the military effort, which is for example, drone productions and everything which helps the brave guys on the front line, but also IT technologies, anything which is related to online working is is doing very well in Ukraine. So this is the structural change we can observe for the last two years and a half in Ukraine.
And given your expertise and seeing what you saw in Ukraine, do you think that the East will be able to recover after the war, now economically speaking?
I'm positive about that. Ukrainians are brave people, but also they are very business-like people, entrepreneurs. So I'm positive about that. And the biggest problem for now is to hold on, but they are doing it quite well. But also what's important is when the peace will come, when exactly, what will be the moment, because the Western world, USA, European Union countries are supporting Ukraine, but the question is how long will they have to support? But I would say that the most important are the conditions of peace. This is what I mean by saying that is the conditions for the businesses, also private businesses, and when they will be able to come and to take part in the tangible reconstruction of Ukraine. So basically, when they will be sure or almost assured that the Russian rockets will not hit and destroy the investment.
Well, certainly now the circumstances that the Ukrainians are facing are far from easy. So now perhaps let's move on to the heavy industry. Now, the steel production in 2022 actually went down to 80%, and it didn't recover by now. So having that in mind, and what you just said, can Ukraine really regain its status as heavy industry heavyweight?
Yeah, the steel industry was located mainly in, for example, Azovstal, in the territories which were destroyed, flattened to the same way as Germans flattened Warsaw in 1944, and they were located in eastern Ukraine. So basically, that's why we have 80% of 80% less of steel production in Ukraine. So that is kind of normal because again it was in eastern part of Ukraine. So basically, a lot how Ukraine will look like after the peace is established is dependent on what will be the conditions on peace, what will be the guarantees for Ukraine and Ukrainian people provided by the West. Related to the safety of the country, of the borders, and actually, what is very difficult to say by the Ukrainians, what will the borders look like? This is a very, very sensitive subject to discuss.
Absolutely. And speaking now of essentials, I feel like we also have to tackle the energy sector, which is crucial now, especially with the winter approaching, really. So how is Ukraine addressing now the destruction of its energy infrastructure that we see this year? And what measures are being taken now to ensure the energy stability for the coming months? We do know that, well, it came as a surprise now the first year of the full-scale invasion, and now it seems that Ukraine is coping with it. But how is it coping really?
When you walk through the streets of Kiev or Lviv now in July, so in summer month, you can hear the small energy generators which are operating all over the place in every shop, every restaurant, and everybody in Ukraine. So basically, this is the response of the people, of the businesses and governments to the barbarian attacks by the Russians in Ukraine, which are aiming to destroy the the energy infrastructure. So this is also this shows that also the huge resilience of the economy on the very basic level.
And now, looking ahead to 2024 and 2025, what are the main factors, to your mind, that will influence Ukraine economic recovery and growth? Because the IMF says Ukraine economy will grow by between 2.5 and 3.5% in 2024 and 5% in 2025 later on. And the government of Ukraine says that it might be 4.6%. So are these assumptions perhaps too optimistic?
Frankly, I don't think it's so important what will be the level of growth, if it's going to be, I don't know, 2%, 3%, and 3.5% next year. I think what the most important thing is that Ukraine holds on, and we are all preparing for the after-war recovery, reconstruction of the country. Let me remind you that, the World Bank,
I'm really glad that you mentioned it, that we do have to prepare for the recovery as it is, although the country is still at war, we do have to prepare for recovery. Jakub Karnowski from Warsaw School of Economics was our guest today. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And thank you so much for joining us on The Bottom Line. So make sure to join us tomorrow at 5 p.m. CET on TVP Well. But do not go away, as coming up now, World Talks. And we're staying on the topic of Ukraine by looking at this through a military lens with Mikhail Alexiev. So that will be The Bottom Line for today. And remember that in the world of business, the bottom line is the only line that counts. Alexandra Marchewicz signing off. Goodbye.